All right, Homesteader family, welcome back to the journey. Welcome to this edition of the Sunday Monday vlog. I got Mr. Chubbers here laying next to me. Mickey Mouse decided to go outside. He might come back. He might come in, but Chubbs is here. So this disastrous, picture perfect week has some bad stuff to it, has some good stuff to it. And as you might have seen already, if you haven't seen, I went ahead and posted a edited video. I did all the pictures. It's called Life Through a Lens 2024. And basically what I did was I took about 90% of my photos and added it to a big collage. So looking at the Sunday Monday vlogs, there's normally 52 Sunday Monday vlogs a year. And if I want to go back and see something, then this way I can look back through photos instead of having to watch 52 videos. And as we know, some of the Sunday Monday vlogs is a lot more, a lot longer and everything like that. Let me fix the chat so if somebody chats. But going forward, I'm going to start this as a new idea for every year going forward. And I'll do the pictures every year. So I got to make sure I take some good photos, but in the same thing, everybody is worried about the most perfect photos because they want everything to look so nice and filters and all that type of stuff. And as you watched in several of the photos, lots of the photos, they're not picture perfect. It's just my life. I might not get the wrong angle. I might get sun in some of them. But it's what I want to take a photo of at the time is what I take a photo of. So going forward, I'm going to continue doing that, except I'm going to try to take some more photos. The video was almost 30 minutes long, but if I have a longer video in the future, I'll have more photos. So that's also going to help document everything. And like I said, it's only about 90% of my photos. 10% photos is stuff that take picture paperwork, security pictures, things like that. So I'm not going to put all that stuff up there. Or photos that are totally messed up that have nothing to do with nothing. But that's what I'm going to do is the photos through a lens. The bad stuff going on, you can see right here, I'm not using the propane heater anymore. I did have a bunch of issues. We're going to talk about solar and go into that. This week has been nothing but snow and cold. We're supposed to warm up, but there's still tons of snow on the ground. Not sure when I'm going to get back to getting stuff done because we only have about a week of decent weather and then it goes back to horrible cold and possible more snow. So for now, I might get out in a couple days once this snow melts and try to get some more T-posts put in so I can get some more fencing done and keep working on the fencing going forward with that. I also need to wire some outdoor outlets here. That's going to be when it's warmer and drier as well. But going into everything, the mini split that's right up there. For those of you that don't live on solar and don't know this, heating elements take a lot of power. Now, it's been a while since I had a heating element and solar at the same time besides electric blanket. Electric blankets takes a good amount of power, but not enough to kill my system. So the mini split, I've found out there's several massive issues with the mini split. One, we got bitter cold, and with wind chill, we got below zero. So when that happened, the drain line that goes out froze solid. So that backed up all the way up the hose, and I'm laying in bed, and water starts pouring down from the unit. That was the first issue. I got that situated. As you saw in the snow pictures, I have a propane torpedo heater that shoots heat underneath. It melted the line. I would run that every 6 hours or so to keep the line thawed out, so that way I didn't have that issue. Well, then the next issue I had, which the torpedo heater worked for as well, is the outside unit. Heat pumps are not good, apparently, for below zero. And if you're not using the heating element. I didn't have this issue first because I used the heating element, so it heated the coils up outside on the outside unit, and the outside unit didn't freeze. But when my whole system crashed, my solar system, from using the heating element, I turned off the heating elements and the coils outside froze. So the torpedo heater was being used to defrost the line, defrost the outdoor unit. I had a propane tank in here running the propane heater because the unit was down, and then I had a propane tank running the generator. So I was running 3 tanks of propane to be able to survive, have heat, have electricity. The generator had to run to charge the batteries because we had no sun for all those days. So for those of you that think solar is the way to go, it can be financially stressing because when you have bad weather, when you have cloudy days, when you have snow days, when you have hailstorms or whatever that can destroy solar, it's going to cost you a lot of money to keep up. Where the grid, you pay the same monthly fee. You don't have to pay all these different propane tanks to be filled and all these different units to run in order to stay warm. So going forward, I don't have the heating elements used on the mini split. In less than a day, it took 27 kilowatts. My batteries hold 30 kilowatts. So it killed my entire battery bank in less than a day. And everything else runs on my batteries, hot tub included, and I don't have an issue. The mini split uses a lot of power. So going forward with the mini split, I figured out when I go to bed, I turn off the mini split. That saves the unit because the unit freezes up at night when we get below freezing. We're down to like 18, 19 degrees at night still. So I can't run the unit at night. So how do I stay warm if I don't want to do this? Because if I use the propane heater in here, then I have a moisture issue. I swapped back to my electric blanket. So the electric blanket is being used on my bed, so that way I can at least sleep and be warm in bed. The insulation value I did in here holds up pretty good. I wake up in the morning, it's probably somewhere between 60 to 64 degrees. Right now I have the mini split set. I don't know if it will show up on camera. 79, those white numbers over there. So I've got it set to 79 in here, so when I go to bed to wake up to it being 60, that's cold for me, but like I said, I'm using electric blanket. So another reason, once again, for those that ask about solar, want to know about solar, if you want to run a mini split like that, you're going to have to spend $100,000 in batteries and panels and everything else to be able to have enough storage to run that day after day after day of cloudy days until you have sun coming out. So another reason why I've talked about solar, the downfalls is electric elements like that. Electric dryers are just as bad. Convection ovens, microwaves, electric stoves, anything with electric heat, electric element will take a lot of power. And solar is not built for that. That's why you're having all the issues with the electric cars during winter that you see them stranded out on the road because batteries don't like cold and they need that extra power. It does not produce like gas and oil does. So, do I run gas in my generator? No, I use propane. Gas, I would get a higher combustion rate, which produces more power than propane. But for me, I don't like messing with gas cans and spilling gas everywhere, smelling gas. Propane tank, I can fill a tank. It can sit there for a year. It's not going to go bad like a gallon of gas or 5-gallon can of gas. It's easy to just hook up a hose, screw it on, turn it on, and it's good. With gas, you have to open the gas thing, dump the gas, spill gas, whatever, and it's a mess. So that's why I go with propane. I was thinking with having 2 battery banks that I might not go with propane at all going forward, but now after the mini split, and I've seen that issue, and with as much propane as I've had to buy, I just spent another $250 filling up all the propane tanks so I can make it through these last couple days and this upcoming storm. So on top of a regular electric bill, you don't have a $250 propane bill on top if you're not doing what I'm doing. So solar, I bought all this, $25,000 up front. Now 1 weekend, $250 in propane just to be able to have my electric, just to be able to have heat. So solar, not always what it's cracked up to be. The positive note, I've lived off grid before. I've lived with solar before. I've had issues before. So what happened? Mini split froze. Had issues with that. My power went down. No solar, no power, no nothing. I had a torpedo propane heater. I've used it in the past. So I was able to hook that right up and defrost the mini split. I had all my propane tanks, my 100-pound tanks, 40-pound tanks, 30-pound tanks. I was able to hook up a generator, get the generator going, charge my batteries up because I got the inverter. And I had this, which I've used many times. So I was able to still stay warm in here, still have power, even with everything crashing. Cost more money, but I still had the luxuries of being able to lay in bed with electric blanket, watch TV, watch movies, and just stay hunkered down through the storm. Had a couple people ask me about the rain catchment system, how that is turning out with all the snow. I did not gain a single drop of water in the cistern from all the snow we got. We got somewhere between 8 to 10 inches of snow in total. Went out, measured the one time, it was over 7 inches. But the reason I'm not getting a single drop in the cistern is because I'm running PVC pipe, and I have the clean out valve that comes down, and that holds about a gallon of water in there before it floats over and goes to a screen into the water cistern. The reason I'm not getting any water is because the clean out valve is out. I unscrewed the cap, and all the water is just falling on the ground. Now you may be thinking, why am I doing that? 2 reasons. One, I'm not using water right now. So if water just goes to the ground, it doesn't matter because I'm not using water for anything here except watering the dogs. My drinking water I buy from the store because I don't want to burn up my Berkey filters right now. So it's just easier to do that. Plus I don't have a lot of space to set up another bucket system for the Berkey filters to do that. I can buy a gallon of water a week, 2 gallons of water a week, make my coffee, brush my teeth, and I'm good. The second reason is because of the experience from living off grid, living with issues. For those of you that saw my house back in Colorado, knew I had the IBC totes. I ran PVC pipe, and those busted out in the winters and split the bottom of the tanks in the winter where the valve was. And I learned the hard way of, unless you can insulate all the way around the base of it, which is expensive, you're going to keep having those problems. So to save me from all the new gutters that I did, from busting out all that PVC and having to buy another $35 elbow with the clean out valve on it, because I went with 4-inch, which the splices and everything are really expensive, I decided to just let the water fall on the ground. A third reason to branch off of why I'm letting the water fall on the ground is because I'm not in Colorado. I'm not in Arizona. I'm not in Nevada. I'm not somewhere that gets a very little bit of rain. We get tons of rain here. And like, I don't know if I said on the last Sunday Monday vlog or one before, but I did the calculations on the 2 roofs, and between an entire year on average of 47 inches of rain here, it gives me 1,700 gallons a month. That's what it breaks down to off of these 2 roofs. So, one snowstorm, water go down the drain, it's not going to kill me. If I was in Colorado and I only get 7 to 9 inches, or Nevada or Arizona where you only get 4 to 5 inches, that would be critical to save up all the water. But once again, I'm not using the water, so for the water to go down on the ground isn't a bother to me. The rain catchment system has worked. I think I have roughly 12 or 1,300 gallons because we got another rainstorm before the snow. I'm going to keep the valve off right now because, like I said, in a week, we've got more snow coming in and single digits and more wind chill, which will take us below 0 again. So I don't want to risk that busting. That is another reason for those of you that were concerned and asked, why am I not doing plumbing? This is the reason why. Until I can get a trencher and get up here and trench lines and get everything buried at 3 feet, even though out here you don't have to go 3 feet. I just know from experience in Colorado Springs, when I did landscaping and everything like that, it's better to bury everything 3 feet down and know you're not going to have an issue in the winter than your pipes busting and breaking, and that costs you more money in the future. Or worst case scenario, like we saw what happened to me at my house in Colorado when my IBC totes busted and split at the valves. They thawed, all the water poured out, and I had no water. I had to go buy new tanks and wait for rain to rain again, or save up money and pay to have water truck bring water out to me. So it's better to do it the right way the first time. And that's another reason why I over-engineer everything. And a lot of people I've talked to about how I'm doing my house have told me I'm wasting money. I don't need to spend that much money. Just like here. Behind this is 3/4 inch plywood. I don't need 3/4 inch plywood, everybody says. I could have went with 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch. I didn't have to go with the expensive 3/4 inch plywood. Why do I do it? Because 3/4 inch plywood's a lot stronger. And knowing I'm in a tornado prone area, not that we've been hit with a lot, but 3/4 inch plywood and all the screws and everything I do is going to hold up a lot better than drywall or 1/4 inch plywood or anything like that. How's Arkansas weather today? Joe Doe, the weather is doing good today. We got up, I want to say 51, 52. The snow's starting to melt, but like I said, we still have plenty. I'll show everybody what we got going on outside. Even with the hot temperatures, when you have 8 to 10 inches of snow, you're going to see the snow takes a long time to get away. So 50 some degrees, still plenty of snow. And that's the other thing. You can hear the hot tub running. That's the other thing that killed my power. With the super cold weather, the hot tub ran nonstop. Like I said, the mini split had issues as well. And all that killed my solar. But the weather's getting better. The snows should be gone in about 3, maybe 4 days before the next stuff comes in. And hopefully, like I said, in about 2 to 3 days when the snow's gone, I can go ahead and get back to fencing, get some T-posts in, because I got to make progress. Now, I know a bunch of you know about my fence history. And we all know I like to do the fence dance. And we're still in January. Not even halfway through January. I know we just did New Year's New Goals 2025. Could you turn off hot tub temporarily, or would that freeze break it? Joe Doe, honestly, I don't know. I've never owned a hot tub. If I had a time machine to go back, I would have bought a hot tub a long, long time ago. All the times I struggled and suffered without having water, or having a limited amount of water, or limited ways to bathe, the hot tub is the easiest. What we did in the military is this. And I am so glad not to do this anymore, because in the military, you don't always have a source of water. Baby wipes. Baby wipes is the easiest way. And what I used to do is put baby wipes by a heater or by a fire and let the baby wipes get warm. Take a little bit of water from a water bottle, put it in so they're nice and warm. So when you clean, it's easy. You throw it away. Yes, it costs more than a rag and a tub of water, but then you always have to have that water. And then you have to have a way to clean the rag. And baby wipes, it's just easy. You clean. It's sterile, and do that way. But the hot tub, I would always go back to. Like I said, if I would have thought of putting it on a credit card long time ago, I would have. And I also didn't know about these cheaper hot tubs. So like I said, this hot tub was only like $2,500 because it was 40% off for one of the holiday sales. That's the only reason I bought it, because my credit card limit is only $5,000, so I have to stay below that. And most hot tubs are $4,000 to $5,000, and then with taxes, you're looking at $5,000 to $6,000. But shutting it off, I know the water would stay warm for a while, but I don't know with the circulation piping if the pipes are too small, or if the heat still gets around when it's not pumping, if those would freeze because they're on the outer side walls of the hot tub, because they go in and then connect. So that I don't know, but I don't want to risk that because, like I said, for such an expensive thing, I wouldn't want to risk that busting and freezing up as well. And Fringe says, it's like a hot water heater. It takes a lot more power to heat water than it does to maintain it at a set temperature. Yeah. Yes. And that's what I was doing before. I was shutting, like Fringe Recall just said, I was shutting it off, and I would wait because it took so much power. And then the next day, for it to get to temperature, it uses a lot more power. So I use a lot less power by keeping the hot tub plugged in. So that's another reason I'm leaving it in. But I'm also leaving it plugged in because I'm afraid it could crack, split, what have you. And then I had no way to bathe besides going back to baby wipes. And I don't want to do the baby wipe thing. It's nice to be able to go out there while it's snowing or 10 degrees, hop in the hot tub. It's nice, it's hot, it's relaxing, get nice and clean. Since I got dogs and dog hair, so it's nice to be clean for a little bit and go from there. So, going forward, like I said, getting back to the fencing, the fence dancing. So I want to get the animals into the pen sooner than later. So I'm changing my fence idea temporarily. I'm going to put up some fence so I can tear the fence down and move it later. That's my famous fence stance. We all know this. But by what I'm doing, it's only going to be, I don't know, maybe 1,000 feet of fencing. And the only reason I'm considering doing this now is because I had already started putting fencing in this area, and I didn't. It's along today's Homesteader Lane. So I've already done some of the web fencing. I got about halfway down today's Homesteader Lane. I never finished it, and that's not going to be part of the pen. I want all that open so the animals can come up here to the shed. So for now, in the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whenever I have nice weather, I'm going to go ahead and just put these new panels along that web fencing, and then temporarily put in T-posts all the way down today's Homesteader Lane. And then that way I can do Purdom Lane, which is going to be permanent. I already got along Gregory Lane done, which is permanent. So I don't have to tear the two sides down. I'll just have to tear down along today's Homesteader Lane. And I'll take that fence and move that fence up here to where my shed is. And then the animals can continue. So basically what I'm hoping for is in less than a month, I'll have the animals onto some fresh land. And then for the rest of the winter and the spring, I can go ahead and finish fencing up this way. And then I'm going to have a big gap because I don't have enough fencing to do all this. So I'll have to do temporary web fencing. So that way, as soon as I tear it down there, I can bring it straight up here and get it up so the animals don't take off on me. Joe says, how much does your Anatolian Shepherds weigh? Do you free feed them? I believe Mickey Mouse was like 129 or something like that when he went to the vet. They don't look like they're that big, but they all weigh around me. I weigh like 135, so I outweigh them just slightly. Minnie Mouse is small, but she's a fatty. So I don't know exactly what she weighs because I do all my own vet stuff. But yes, I do, Joe. This is the dog thing right there, so you can see a full thing of feed. They eat when they want to eat. They drink when they want to drink. Same thing that I do with the animals in the animal pen is free feed as well. I leave hay in 24/7, and then I grain feed a couple times. And then I've got the olive oil. This is $32, $33. And what I do is I mix regular dog chow, Purina dog chow, and Purina puppy chow. So the puppy chow's got a lot of minerals and things like that. It's a lot more expensive. That's why people don't feed it anymore. But I do a 1/3 scoop of puppy chow with 1 solid scoop of dog chow. And then I drizzle with the olive oil. And then I've got a bucket I shake the food up in. So that way the food is coated in oil. And it, because one of the issues with dry dog food is the lack of moisture. And olive oil is good for the dog's coats, good for their immune system, the minerals, and everything like that. So that's what I do for dogs. And then once a week, twice a week, depending on when I go to town, I buy the 5-pound bags chicken drumstick legs. They love their chicken legs. And then I also buy 1-pound packages of the hamburger meat and give them raw hamburger, raw chicken. So they have that as well. And then the bones and everything, the cartilage from rib bones and things that I buy for the dogs, the chicken bones and so on and so forth. They get a variety. Eventually, I would like to have everything set up once I get my power building built to have a big deep freezer, and I want to go ahead and start swapping farther away from the commercial dog food and start making my own food. And with all the goats that I have, and now all the new baby goats that I have, and all the goats that I never banded, that I said I was going to band to castrate them because I had so much other stuff going on and made all the progress, as everybody saw last year, to get moved over here sooner than I had planned, that all went to wayside. But my goal eventually is to have enough goats that I can butcher goats throughout the year, make my own fresh dog food, and then they can also eat the goat raw. I can freeze a leg, freeze a hind quarter, a roast, whatever, and then the dogs have that to chew on in the summer or winter, what have you. And then the dogs are eating off the homestead. So then all the money I'm pouring into grain to feed the goats, then I'm getting payback. The goats are going to be feeding the dogs. I want to get a Great Pyrenees for a guard dog to help with coyotes and mountain lions. I like the Anatolians, but they're a bit intimidating for me. Yes, and that's why, Joe, a lot of people look at the cross. They get a 3/4 Pyrenees and 1/4 Anatolian. You don't want to do a half or 3/4 Anatolian. There's multiple differences. So for those of you that are looking at protection dogs or livestock guardian dogs, whatever you want to call them, there's pros and benefits. I looked into it deeply because for those of you that know, for those of you that don't know, I almost got killed by a mountain lion in Colorado. That's why I ended up getting these dogs. If you're not a hands-on owner, and if you don't want a challenge, then you do not want Anatolian Shepherds. Anatolian Shepherds are great. You got to stick to the training. We all know I didn't train mine when I got them. They've become house dogs, and I had 50 acres that were fully fenced, so the dogs were able to run. So I didn't need to train the dogs. They were contained in my property. But they're a lot of work. They can be a headache. But if you want the top tier animal protecting you, and you have bears, you have lions, you have coyotes, bobcats, lynx, what have you, you definitely want an Anatolian Shepherd. So for those of you that don't know, I'm not going to get in the debate because people debate me all the time and tell me this, they tell me that. From what I can gather, Anatolian Shepherds and Turkish Kangles are the same thing. I have so many comments on my Anatolian Shepherd videos from people in Turkey that tell me how good of a breed I have and that they're Kangles, they're not Anatolian Shepherds. I'm just going by what I was told by the breeder that I bought them from. They call them Anatolian Shepherds. That's why I call them Anatolian Shepherds. People in Turkey tell me they're not Anatolian Shepherds, they're Kangles. But if you want the top tier, you want the Anatolian Shepherd / Kangal. Why? For those of you that don't know, you can Google this. You can say, what is the bite force of a pit bull? It's like 189 psi. Then you ask Google, what's the bite force of an American gray wolf? And that comes back at 400 psi. Then you ask Google, what is the bite force of an African lion? And that is 650 psi. And then you say, what is the bite force of a Kangal or Anatolian Shepherd? And their bite force is 743 psi, which is pressure per square inch. So with their bite force, just like an African lion, even though they're stronger than African lion can bite a leg, bite a femur, snap it in half. These dogs can do that. That is the intimidating part. And if you don't do proper training and your dogs take off and go out, they can do a lot of damage. But if you have a bear problem, if you have a mountain lion problem, you don't want something with a small bite force that cannot fight back. Great Pyrenees do not have the bite force of the Anatolian Shepherd. Another thing with Anatolian Shepherds / Kangals is they fight to the death. When they engage in a fight, they do not stop fighting unless you pull them apart or the other one stops, like Max and Chubbs that got in the fight when I came back and Max was laying there in a puddle of blood. If I didn't get home in time and find that and get that taken care of like I did, then this man right here wouldn't be with me no more. And I've had people ask me about that because I never post anything. So I may post a post and just show how damaged Max was from last year when it happened. So everybody can see Max is good. Did not go to a vet. I did all my own doctoring here. That's another thing with homesteading. You better stop relying on vets all the time because that's a lot of money that you can pay yourself. And you need to learn how to do things yourself. You need to be able to take care of your own animals. You need to be able to contain your own animals. You need to be able to doctor your animals. You need to be able to tell when your animals look different, there's something wrong, and fix it, get it taken care of, and go from there. But going back to the dog thing, Great Pyrenees do not have the bite force of an Anatolian Shepherd. So with the mountain lion, Anatolian Shepherd's going to be your best bet. With the black bear or cinnamon bear or grizzly bear or golden bear, your Anatolian is going to be your best option. If you got foxes, if you got coyotes, I mean, I still recommend Anatolians for coyotes because they can gang up. But Great Pyrenees is good for small predators, bobcats, lynx, coyotes, foxes, raccoons, things like that. Yes, they can try to fight a mountain lion. Yes, they can try to fight a bear, but they're not known for it. They're not big for it because they don't have the fight instinct as much as Anatolian Shepherds. You got to remember, Anatolian Shepherds, Kangals run wild in Turkey. That's where they come from, Anatolia, Turkey. Just like the American Gray Wolf, they run wild here. If you got a wolf as a protection animal, a wolf's got a lot better chances than a regular domesticated dog. If you want something easy, like if you watch Appalachia's Homestead with Patera, she's got all the Great Pyrenees, and they're big, fluffy dogs that just sit out there. For those of you that have been following the channel for a while know when I used to date Sarah and she had the farm down in Colorado Springs with her parents, and then she did the one down in Pueblo, she had Great Pyrenees. And they're friendly dogs. You can go up and pet them as long as you're not acting a fool or things like that. They're not as aggressive. Where here, if somebody came onto my property illegally or not illegally, but just came in, like a friend or something like that, and the dogs are not introduced to you, these dogs would kill you. They're not just going to bite you, they're going to kill you. They're going to go for death because that's what they go for. So as a liability, you know, if you've got a family and you got kids and you got sleepovers and stuff like that, and people always come in your house, Anatolian Shepherd Kangles are not what you want. You want something different. Um, it's just me. I've got friends that come over, but I introduce the dogs. So, you know, like Steve. Steve lives out here, so he's able to see the dogs on a more regular basis, so I don't have to have that worry. But other people that come to visit, I've got to keep the dogs completely separated because there's a high probability of being bit just in the first stance. And that's, once again, if I would have trained the dogs a different way, if I would have done more hands-on, then I could have worked out some of those issues and not have those problems. But for me, I went with the Anatolian Shepherd because A, they had the biggest bite force. B, they fight to the death. C, they're known for taking out big game, big predators. And D, I live by myself. So I don't have to worry about, you know, I've got kids and then their friends want to come over all the time and then the friends' parents come over and stuff like that. It's not people coming in and out. This is not a public house. This is a private house. So I didn't have that worry. So that's why I went with the dogs that I went for. So that's what I would recommend that wise. If you don't want somebody on your property, if you want to sleep well, knowing that if somebody breaks in your house, your dogs are going to take care of it, then you want Anatolian Shepherds. Let me go back and check out Joe's comments. Let's see. I've heard Anatolians described as harder, while Great Pyrenees are softer. That's correct, Joe. Anatolians Kangles are definitely the most hardcore ultimate guard dog. Yep, and that's why I got them for the mountain lions in Colorado. Out here, I don't have issues with the mountain lions. There are some out here. I've seen more bear on my property than anything, but the bear don't come around. Another thing you can check with the urine and the feces of Anatolian Shepherds deter animals. When you brush them, I put hair out. The smell of the Anatolians deter predators. So that's another thing too, Joe and everybody else out there. If you can find somebody that's got Anatolian Shepherds and ask them, say, can I give you $5 every time you brush the dog, you give me the grocery bag or trash bag filled of hair. $5, you throw it out, it keeps predators away. So that's one thing I do up and down Gregory Lane, and I do it around the animal pen, is when I brush the dogs, I put the hair out in clumps, and that's kept any predators besides neighbor dogs from trying to get into the animals. It's not going to deter other dogs because it's another canine. Let's see. There are lots of loose roaming pit bulls and Rottweilers, which is another reason to have a guard dog to defend you and your pets. There's another case right there, Joe. Back in Colorado when I went to Home Depot, I got Minnie Mouse out my truck to go to the bathroom on a leash. That's another thing, be a responsible pet owner. Leash. There was a lady there with 2 pit bulls. The 2 pit bulls came after Minnie Mouse. Minnie Mouse grabbed the one pit bull by the throat, took it straight to the ground. The other one took off running. The lady was screaming at me. And I said, you know, you're lucky I didn't take out the dog. But yeah, Minnie Mouse took 2 pit bulls at once. And the one pit bull probably had to get stitches on the neck. Patera also just got a hardcore Russian Okovar. Okay, that I don't know, Joe. YouTube, I don't watch a lot of YouTube. You know, I do watch Appalachia's Homestead with Patera. I do watch. The only one I watch is Home Free Alaska. And they're getting ready to move again. They just bought a place. They just moved in. And now they're moving again. So I'm like, at least I'm not that bad. They're moving twice in 1 year. And I'm not that bad. And Anatolian Bite Force is 700. Where, yep. Yeah, 743 actually, Joe. And Pitbull, I thought was 189, but it could be close to 200. But yeah, so for those of you looking for dogs, that's what I would recommend. If you get livestock guardian dogs like Anatolian Shepherds or Pyrenees, you also got to make that decision. and that is, are they working dogs or are they pet dogs? And the reason I say that is because if they're going to be working dogs, they need to be out in the field immediately so they build bonds with the animals and they will die for those animals. Or if you want a pet dog, then you want them in with you so they build the bond with you and will protect you at all costs. For me, I got the dogs to protect the animals, but I loved having the dogs in the house. Chubbs over here jumps up on the bed in the morning as soon as I start stirring in the blankets and cuddles with me. Max will cuddle in bed until I'm ready for bed, and then he gets down, and they do their own thing. But I ended up ruining them in my mind. Other people say they're not ruined, but they're not outdoor dogs anymore. They still go out. I went up, I think it was yesterday, to grain the animals. And since there was so much snow on the ground, I went ahead, took all 4 dogs. Dogs went in, went running around. And what's this numbnuts over here do? Chubbs, did you chase the baby goat? You chased the baby goat yesterday. You were bad yesterday. Yeah. So since they're not in with the animals all the time, he wanted to chase the baby goat and be crazy. And that's one thing you got to consider too. If they're not raised with the animals, they're going to go back to predatory instinct. Where if they're bonded with the animals, then their predatory instinct of protecting them versus chasing them is more important. But he's still a good man. He knows that. He gets yelled at, but he knows I love him. So I think that's all we got for this week of the Sunday Monday vlog. If anybody else has any more questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'm going to go finish my coffee I never finished on camera and hop in bed. I appreciate that, George. Jesus loves you too. I'm going to probably just go hop in bed, find a TV show to... Actually, I do got a TV show to watch. I got the new On Patrol Live episode, which is like 2.5 hours. So I got that for a bit. I see a lot of Kangles wearing spike collars. Have a good one. Yes, Joe. And I don't know how long you've been watching, but I bought spike collars for them as well. So all of my Anatolian Shepherds had the spike collars. And then I also had the tactical black vest that they used to wear with bells on. And the reason you see so many Kangles wearing those spike collars is because unlike Great Pyrenees are defense. Great Pyrenees stay around the homestead. They protect their area and that's it. Anatolian Shepherds are known for miles and miles and miles a day. Anatolian Shepherds are offense. They will go out and they will find whatever predators in the area and they will eradicate it. And the problem with that, it's good, but it's bad. And that is because people get these animals, just like neighbors with dogs and things like that just let their animals roam. Then you have them causing issues for other homesteads, other people with animals and things like that. Or if Chubbs is on the homestead out with me while I'm feeding the animals and the neighbor dog gets underneath the fence, then I got a dog fight. And they're not going to come out unscathed. They're still going to get a bite on their ear, bite on their face or something. And people shouldn't have to deal with other people's animals, messing with their animals, killing their animals, or hurting their animals. And that's why, like in Turkey, you see a lot of the big heavy-duty spikes collars is because in Turkey, they run all over the place. And when they get into a wolf pack or with mountain lions or bears, predators go after their neck and eat it. Now, they do have these heavy-duty chain collars that you can see, so that offers a little bit of protection, more so for me to be able to grab a hold of them and I don't have to worry about the collar snapping or coming off, but that gives them a little bit of protection. But like I said, I don't normally let the dogs run. Now the dogs will end up running as soon as I get the whole homestead enclosed and fencing. So I will have my pen here that they'll be here up at the house when I'm not home. So that way I know they're not out by a gate or something like that where somebody can mess with them. So they'll be up here at the house, protecting the house and everything when I'm gone. But eventually they'll be able to run. And when I do that, I will put their black tactical vest back on with their bells and everything like that. And then they can run the homestead, go check on the animals, and just have fun running around. So for now, like I said, I got the small pen that they're able to go out to in here, which I can show you for some of those that haven't seen what out here looks like. Outdoor lights. Nice having power. But this is their little pen here that they have. It's not that big, not a lot to run. And then, of course, they got the dog door here. I built an enclosed cage because what I originally thought was so they don't dig out. I have a door at the end over there so they could still come out and pee or poop in this cage. It's not that big of a cage. And that's why I changed it and then went ahead and fenced this whole yard in so they had somewhat of a yard. Now, eventually, you can see Mickey Mouse down here. He likes the cold. He's a cold winter dog. He loves being outside. He spends most of the nights outside where the other dogs stay inside. But I'll have a piece of fence between the two sheds, and then it's going to go way out, and you can see the solar panels there. It goes out in front of the solar panels, and then it's going to come down out in front here and then go all the way over here to where the house is going to be. So as soon as I can get all the fencing done for the animal pen, and I got to get the power building built because I've got the solar wires and the cables and all that stuff on the ground. I can't have the dogs run in that area right now because they would grab a wire with their foot as they're running, or Chubbs likes to chew on stuff. He could possibly chew on stuff. So until I can get the power building built this spring and get all this fencing done, they at least have this area. And then, like I said, it's going to be about 5, maybe 6 times the size of their pen now. They have by the summer. And then going forward, like I said, as I fence more and more of the homestead and I get everything done, then they'll be able to run on half the homestead, because my goal is hopefully by the end of this upcoming winter in December, I'm hoping to at least have half the homestead fenced. And then over the next 5 or 6 years, I'll start working on the other side and get that side fenced. So that way I got 2 rotating pens to move the animals back and forth to. And that will give the dogs plenty of time to run. And like I said, by the summer, they'll have a nice big yard to run in. And that's another reason why I want to get the grass seed, get the clover, get a yard established so they got grass to play on, grass for the animals and everything else. So with that, I hope everybody has a great night. I'm going to go watch my TV show. What dog is that lurking there? That was Mickey Mouse. So we got Mickey Mouse outside. We got Chubbs right there. We got Max on the floor right there. And Minnie Mouse on the couch. So with that, I hope everybody has a great night. If you had snow, I hope everybody's staying warm. If you weren't prepared, might want to get prepared, just like me. Everything went to shit. Everything went down the chute. But I was able to regain and make it through. And that's what we all need to do. So with that, like always, live happy, live free. That's the only way to be. Maybe more edited videos coming up soon. And with that, have a great night. I'll talk to you guys later.